What's up, junkies? Welcome back in for another edition of Pigskin Junkies. Myself, Michael Larson, the big brother, Jared Larson. Week 10 of college football, sprinkled in at the end with a little bit of Week 9 NFL for Jared.
Sad.
I know.
Week 10.
I know, double digits. It's scary.
Gross.
As we drift closer, or well, I wouldn't say drift closer. This will make sense Saturday, which I love having to do like my Inception intros of pretending it's Saturday when it's Wednesday, and then pretending it's Friday when
it's Thursday.
Yeah, it's just confusing.
What level are we in? What level are we on? Where's the dreidel?
Yeah, spin the dreidel. That's coming up too. Anywho, happy Halloween as we record this. Jared and I are doing this early. You'll be hearing this after Halloween. Hopefully you're not hungover too bad. And then so you'll hear Jared's picks. I had to do the show solo with Scott because Jared was flying yesterday, and Scott's going to be in Tampa for a wedding. So everyone's all over the place.
I was say, keep forgetting it's like every which where.
Yeah, everyone's everywhere.
I'm going here. You're doing that. I'm doing this. It's like, whoa, man.
Mm-hmm. So we're doing our best to make the magic happen. Anywho,
for hashtag content season.
Yeah, exactly. I was absolutely atrocious last week. I thought, Oklahoma, Kansas State, you and I were both on that, and I think we both said back the Brinks truck up on K-State jokingly, but
hopefully you did. Hopefully
if you
listened.
took our advice and took the money line, then you're a happy camper. Then I had Penn State, Michigan State, and Michigan State just, I thought, and it was raining too. I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly what Michigan State needs. Ugly football game to keep it close. And then it just ended up being a one-sided, ugly game. And Penn State came out and just drummed them.
Yeah, I recall this.
Next, Temple was actually up on UCF early and then just got buzzsawed, which, if you remember what I said, is can this offense keep up with UCF? Because if their defense can't stop them, then they're screwed. And
ain't nobody going to stop them.
And then Jared ended up getting the head-to-head in the UCLA-Arizona State game.
That was never in doubt. Easy cash.
Absolutely. Because it was, I think, for like the first 5, 6, it was like kind of back, like not a lot happening. And then the lid blew off. So that was fun.
Yeah, I'm not so. Like I said, I'm not sold on this quarterback at Arizona State. Kid's a freshman. We're seeing it. We're seeing it with Auburn. We're seeing it with a lot of other teams where they have a couple good games and then people think that they're world beaters, and it's like, no, the kid's still 18 years old playing on a stage way larger than he's ever done before. And these big games, they're gonna get swallowed up when they go on the road. It's just a matter of time. Mm-hmm. So more later on the Pac-12 South, but I never really viewed Arizona State as a contender for that division anyhow.
I didn't either. I just thought that would be I was still doubting UCLA, and that might be a little bit of lack of exposure for me for them. I saw kind of their early on games.
You saw them against Cincinnati.
Yeah. Well, and I watched the first couple of games and I wrote them off, so I stopped watching them. But I know you said you couldn't quite remember. I think you had like 7 picks last week.
You want to know what's funny? So I literally, this side of my desk is my member guest picture with Joel. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's why I don't remember what I picked last week. Because, 37 cocktails later, I can't remember what I picked on Wednesday.
But you remember what clubs you hit on what hole, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, no, definitely not. Driver on all of them and putter on all of them. But other than that, no, I'm kidding. I got to go look it up. They're somewhere. Apologies, listeners. It was not the greatest start to the day, but I feel like I finished okay with Michigan, with the aforementioned UCLA. There was a bunch of games in that late window that I did well on. Early games, not so much. Oklahoma, bloodbath. And there was another one that I felt like I was just on the Purdue, who lost to Illinois outright. Unbelievable.
That's
a touchdown. Unbelievable. I was shocked. There was 2 outcomes in the morning that I opened up my app and I was like, what? They're losing? It's one thing, don't cover the number. It happens. But
to lose,
that's a bad loss by Purdue. Bad loss.
It's the battle of the letdown teams this weekend. It's Illinois, Nebraska. Or no, excuse me, Purdue, Nebraska.
Yeah, jeez, yikes.
Which a year ago, everyone would have been like, "Oh, this game could decide the Big Ten West." Who knows?
No.
No, you got Minnesota.
Say next weekend. No game day. Sorry, Gopher fans, brother included. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Lobby all you want. It's 1-2.
I agree. I know. Trust me. I was super excited, and then I totally forgot that game. Last weekend, they're like 2 weeks away after LSU beat Auburn. Like, next up, Alabama. I'm like, dadgummit.
Yeah.
I never put 2 and 2 together until...
I can't wait for that game. Just because it's going to be so different than all. So this is where, as someone who actually watches most games in the SEC, this is going to be a completely different LSU Bama than what you've seen in the past. I mean, they had a shutout in the title game, SEC title game a couple years ago. There was a shutout in the national championship. There was a 9-6. All these like knockdown, drag out, grinder games. That is not what this game is going to be. They're going to be pinballing up and down the field. So if you like points and you like talent, be sure you tune in on. I'm assuming they're going to move it to 8 o'clock.
And you like the Cookie Monster.
Hey, did you see the Coach O thing talking to Big Cat and Dave?
Yeah.
First rounder. Just like I told y'all boys when y'all recruit you, man.
Yeah, guy's a beast. I love him.
Cookie Monster.
I love him. Absolutely love him. So do you want to go first? Because I think you have. I had a golden sombrero, so you have the right of way anyway.
Golden what?
Golden sombrero.
I know. I was talking about this. It's a joke. Went right over your head.
Golden shower?
Yeah. We're earning our E again. Back to it.
I almost bet on the Tulsa Golden Showers. That's close.
I actually almost got to the window with them too. Did not happen. Virginia Tech plus 17.5. I'm going back to the well here with my guy Justin Fuente, whose seat is nice and toasty. Bud
Yes.
Foster. I think Notre Dame is done with this season. They have the loss to Georgia. They got blitzkrieg last week by Michigan. I think they got to lick their wounds here. 17.5 points is a lot to be laying. I think Virginia Tech can contend for a win, an outright here. I certainly will be pulling for that with a under 9.5 ticket on Notre Dame. But I think they keep it inside the number here. I look at, and obviously a lot of people are going to see 5-2 Notre Dame, 5-2 Virginia Tech. Certainly who Notre Dame has played is significantly better than Virginia Tech. But I refuse to believe that this team is terrible. I think Bud Foster is going to be sent out on a pretty nice note here. And I expect Justin Fuente to turn around because I really like him and candidly expect him to make it happen.
Well, two things. One, last weekend's Big Ten game was not Big Ten, but that matchup was a Harbaugh khaki 10 pitcher. Rain, pound the ball down their throat until it just beat them into submission. That game was.
Well, and Brian Kelly kept wanting to throw it. I'm like, it's soaking wet out there, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Adjust.
Well, and that brings me to my second point. The rumors, it always starts out as a murmur, but exactly. Is Urban going to pull the Urban and do broadcasting for a year and just survey the land and then strike right back in?
Did you hear the Urban to Florida State thing? I was like, come on, dude.
There's no way anyone that would be
0% chance that happens. Absolute zero. And it has nothing to do with Urban spurning the Florida fan base and everything to do with they can't afford it.
Yeah, that's the legitimate reason. The hypothetical reason is there would be a hit out on Urban Meyer from some crazed Florida fan. The Harvey Updike of the Florida fan base would find Urban Meyer and poison his trees. If you catch what I'm saying, that would just not be. Oh man. Ooh.
Or hopefully there's a good cardiologist up in Tallahassee or South Bend, if that's the case.
Best part is he's got that nice Catholic church right there. He can get his last confession in if he gets into cardiac arrest. God, that's horrible. I feel so. I need to go wash my mouth after saying that.
Why? It's fine. It's true. It's all true.
It's all true. So, my first game. This is a sentence I never thought in my life I would say, and it's not something I would want to ever do, but I'm doing it. And that is the Kansas Jayhawks +6 at home versus the Kansas State Wildcats. I think you have going to have, obviously, the public freaking out over Kansas State. And that line is just, I think I got to pull, I don't have it in front of me, but it shifted. But anywho, this is in Lawrence.
6.
Well, yeah, I know it's 6. I can't remember what it opened at. In Lawrence, this is going to be a beautiful game for Les Miles. This offense has opened up completely since they fired their. Yep, Jared's doing the Les Miles clap. This offense has actually showed. I mean, they showed they can score. Defensively, Les Miles is grinning from ear to ear because this is a Kansas State team that wants to run it down your throat. And that's exactly the kind of football Les Miles loves playing. So this will be a knockdown, drag-out brawl. It's a rivalry game. Kansas State off a big emotional win. +6, I think Kansas State still squeaks out a win, but I think the Jayhawks are enough to keep it interesting.
Is this a nooner?
I think it's a 3 o'clocker.
Okay. Big noon kickoff, stupidest thing in the world.
Marketing.
Yeah, I'll be locked in. We're staying at home this weekend, so I will be locked in. Game number 2 for me, USC, Southern Cal, money line +165. I'm very unimpressed with Mario Cristobal. He cost his team the game against your Auburn Tigers. I don't think he's a very good coach. I mean, they got some dudes on defense, but they're winning these games by not a wide margin, and I think we'll call it they've been out-duding everybody, and now they're playing USC, and they're going to be able to go toe-to-toe from a talent perspective. So me personally, I look at this and say they're going to be in the game late, and I'll take the shot at the +165 as opposed to grabbing the 4.5 points, because I think if Oregon is clicking, it'll be a 20-ish point victory for them, or I could see them losing. So, I put it, which every time I say something like that, I always feel like such a mush, because it's like, well, they could win or they could lose. It's like, duh. That's how the game. You can't. What's the Delfer thing?
You can't lose games in the NFL and still win. I know. You can't remember it because it's so stupid. And you're like, surely it's not that dumb.
I'm like, this can't be it, can it? Yep, it is every time. I'll take a little kickback on. I like the 65 extra cents coming back my way with USC in a game that I expect to be close, and I put it in the 50-50, 45-55 range in terms of outcome. So I'll gobble up a little extra points.
Yeah, it's in the Coliseum, which this Trojans team is a completely different program when they are playing at home versus when they're playing on the road. I almost went. I'll use your phrase.
I like the Scovis kid too a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean. That's a game I'm still going to keep my eye on. I have my 4 picks, but that's a game I might chili dip into later, depending on how the day shakes out.
That's the late night chaser. That's the 8 p.m. Eastern.
No. There's another late night chaser out there.
Oh, is there the Hawaii?
The set it and forget it. Set the matchup of the week. Just bet it, go to sleep.
Whatever the rotisserie chicken ovens, whatever those things are called. We got to figure out what those are called.
Yeah, set it and forget. I'll look it up. Great infomercials. Next up for me, I have Oklahoma State at home -2.5 against the TCU Frogs.
Ooh.
This is a Pokes team that can score if they protect the football. I know, that's dumb football talk, but if they can limit the turnovers, I forget the quarterback's name, but in the games I've watched, I feel like he either has the ball
Mason
really
Rudolph.
low. No, it's not Mason. Mason Rudolph probably thinks he's still playing at Oklahoma State after that hit he took a couple weeks ago. But keeping the ball down on his hip, he's learning this offense can score. This is at Oklahoma State, TCU. I'm going to use the same sentence I used in my previous pick. Big win last week against Texas. Now you got to travel on the road. This will be such a Big 12 game number 2. Big 12 game number 2, where a team would have a huge upset week prior, go on the road and absolutely lay an egg. Because that's what the Big 12 does. It's
Ronco's rotisserie chicken.
Set it and forget it. So I got Pokes -2.5.
I actually like the Pokes too. I almost got there, but
I haven't betted on it. This is my first time this year.
I know. This is Micah's back on brand. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for more of my potential Pokes pick before the weekend. Game number 3, Memphis -6. This line reeks. I took Memphis earlier in the season at home against Ole Miss. Game day, all the things associated with this. Obviously, Memphis can move the ball, so can SMU. This should be a great game to watch up and down the field. Excuse me. I think SMU is overrated in terms of their respect from the betting markets. You're going to look at a lot of Joe Public teams, kids that are coming in and saying, hey, SMU is blowing these teams out of the water. And I would say Memphis actually has played a higher quality of opponent and candidly played them better. So I'll take Memphis here. I like to pick them in these big spots, usually at home against UCF. They've played well. Against Ole Miss, they've played well, especially in the Liberty Bowl. So I will take the 6. Don't love the number. There's been better numbers out there earlier this week, couple 4.5, maybe 5. So if you like them, maybe wait towards kickoff a little bit closer. Might be able to grab a 5. Memphis.
Yeah, so I'll save that one for gun to your head. Next up for me, I got the Utes traveling up to Washington -3.5. This Washington defense can't stop the run game to save their life. And when you have the best running back in Moss coming up to your town, they're going to run the ball down your throat and shut you down on offense. And I haven't been extremely impressed with Jacob Eason's performances at Washington. I feel like he's very hit or miss. Now it's at home, which gives me a little more confidence in his performance. But I think the Utes cover the 3.5.
Yeah, I like that one. I would actually say we agree on that. That was probably first or second off the list. Now, I do have a selection in the cocktail party, but I'm going to skip that, Micah, because I presume we'll be talking about that one.
Yes.
Game number 4, then, for me is it's all about
the U. Jared going back to his roots.
That's right. This game, I feel like this is the rivalry that I'm going to tell my children about, like what people would say Army-Navy used to be, like all these awesome games and dudes flying around the field. And like I can remember early 2000s Canes, Miami, the games were just insane, like so loaded with NFL players, Hall of Famers, the whole deals. Yeah. But does anyone in this country have any interest in laying points with Willie Taggart right now? Like, I don't understand how this team is favored. And I appreciate the fact that Miami has not been world beaters either. Manny Diaz talking about a rebuild after, like, they won 10 games 2 years ago, and you're talking fantastic recruiting classes the last 2 years, like a rebuild.
Every year is fantastic recruiting. I could recruit fantastically at Miami.
I don't understand how you can say it's a rebuild. Like, this is – you should not – you're in a terrible conference. You get –
terrible side of the conference, too.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant to say division. You're right. Terrible division in a terrible conference.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So all that crushing on Miami to say I'll still take them plus the points. There were a couple 3.5s earlier this week.
All that
I'll
belittling.
Take 3. You can take the money line. I don't want any part of this Florida State team right now. Zero part. Plus, Noodle Arm Hornibrook's going to be back there, stationary target, and these dudes from Miami are just going to be getting after his ass.
Yeah, it's one of those games that you just remember. Even that, like Miami, Virginia Tech, back when they were in the Big East.
Mm-hmm. Those were awesome.
Miami was in 4 or 5 top 10 matchups. It felt like every
Miami
season.
In the early 2000s was unprecedented until like mid-teens Alabama teams.
Yeah.
So there was like 15 years where no one even touched them.
Didn't even sniff the realm that they were in.
Maybe 04 USC, maybe.
Yeah, but you just look at that 2001 Miami roster, and I think everyone but 3 played on an NFL team, like played on Sundays.
Yeah, there's like 6 Pro Bowlers or 6 Hall of Famers from that defense.
Yeah. It's unreal. And like FSU, I know they try and claim that 2013 defense, like, oh yeah, everyone played in the NFL. It's like, okay, but yes, they played in the NFL. But to the level of dominance that they had in the NFL, I mean, you could argue Sean Taylor would have been probably a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
There's Ed Reed. These are some of the best players in the league since the turn of the millennium.
Vilma, DJ Williams, Will Fork. I mean, guys that are not Hall of Famers yet, but because they were still playing until 2 years ago. I mean, yeah, loaded.
It's unreal. Last but not least for me, I have, and I know this is going against, so I had one going back on brand. Now I'm going to have to retract. Speaking of belittling people and then going back to it, I got this line for Arizona opened up, I think it's 7, and it's trickled down against Oregon State to -5.5. This is a home game for the Cats in the month of November. Here's some analytic. This is some Kirchin stuff. Since baseball's over, I'll dive into the last time there was a full moon.
On a Wednesday.
Yeah.
In Albuquerque.
Yeah. The guy is unreal. Oregon State 1-7 against the spread in the month of November. Wildcats.
What, in the last 2 years?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think.
What are the other months?
1-7 is
2-20.
Yeah, exactly. 6-1-1 for the Bearcats.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The Wildcats.
Yeah, but don't they write like Bearcats?
Bear down. Bear down.
Yeah,
Wildcats. Whatever. Yeah, so all you Auburn ball busters, go get on them too. This Bear down, Wildcats, which one is it? That's the cheapest joke in the world. Everyone needs to quit doing that nonsense.
Everywhere. We were at buddy's bachelor party last weekend. And we're sitting there watching the game. Of course, this guy comes up. So what are you?
I want to punch people in the face when they say that to me.
Every time. I go, if you really want to know, you can Google it. I can give you a short answer. But if you type it in, it'll tell you what our mascot is. And he goes, you got the Plainsmen, then you're the Tigers, then you're the War Eagles. No one's ever said the Auburn War Eagles, ever.
Yeah, no, ever. Or the Tigers. Everybody knows that.
Frustration.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows. And the best.
Everybody knows.
Which, also hysterical moment. They were interviewing a guy on the street last night about like what this World Series means for the city of Washington, D.C. And the guy's like, he's like, oh man, this city needed us. He's like, we got this shithead in the White House. And the lady's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Just like starts walking away. It was so funny. I mean, like or hate the guy, and that was hysterical just in the moment.
Yeah,
it was kind of sad to see the
hey,
people
whoa.
Yeah. But anywho, I got Khalil Tate and Kevin Sumlin.
Yuck.
Yeah, but I just think Oregon State, everyone's like, wait a second. This team was supposed to win 2 games, but they've won 3, and they could win 4. So they're
not good. But I feel about Kevin Sumlin the same way I feel about Willie Taggart. Just no interest in laying points with those coaches.
The thing is, though, Sumlin has on his record beating Bama twice. So
with Johnny Manziel.
I think he only beat him once with Manziel. No, he beat him twice.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Back-to-back years.
Mm-hmm.
Rock star.
Fine. But still, I mean...
He's parlayed that into a lot of cash.
It's not like A&M has superior talent to FSU.
Dude's got $50 million sitting in the bank right now because he beat Bama 2 weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Hugh Freeze would have the same thing. Now he's sitting in a dentist chair in a press box. Unreal. Do you have? So you're done with your picks, right? Because we even.
I have an official selection in the cocktail party. Yes.
Okay. So we'll go to it then. So I'll get this out of the way. Strictly for our boy Rhett Lashley, I'm picking SMU +6 against Memphis. And gun to my head.
Is he there or something?
He's there. He's the OC at SMU. Yeah.
Oh. There's UConn. Woof.
Yeah. So that's really the sole reason. I haven't watched either of them play that much. This is, I think, the battle for the American. UCF's going to have to backdoor and have some stuff happen.
What do you think about that, UCF?
So I got SMU. Now, we'll get right into the cocktail party. It's in Jacksonville. Neutral site game. Gators are +6.
Do you have a pick?
I'm letting you go first. And you want me to go first, and then you can dive into it since you have a...
I bet we're on opposite sides.
I bet you.
Square dog alert, Florida. Still not a believer in this team. Still not a believer in this offense. I really feel like this is a buy low point with Georgia. There's been a lot of piling on as it pertains to their inability to move the football. Interestingly enough, I didn't think Kirby Smart was a great hire when he was hired, and then he shoved that up my face for about 2.5 years, and I think they're starting to see some of the struggles. I mean, nobody has recruited better over the last 2 years than this Georgia staff. Like, they are crushing on the recruiting trail. To see them not be able to move the ball is very surprising to me. They don't really have big name talent at the wide receiver level, but their offensive line is so big and so good. You think they'd be able to run it a little bit more. That loss against South Carolina at home was putrid. And then, look, they played Kentucky in the driving rain. The weather was disgusting. Yes, I understand they had a wide receiver at quarterback, but I'm going to take Georgia here. I think they get it done. I think they are outclassing Florida, and I think they'll be able to get after Kyle Trask pretty good to where they'll be able to score enough to cover. I think I see something like 24-14, 24-13, 21-10. I see a pretty low-scoring game too, so it might even be an underplay as well. But I'll take the dogs, lay the 6.
I'm not actually putting any money on this, but I like the points you're making. I just think that it's the Muschamp 2.0 mentality with Kirby Smart. It's the defense, I'm going to jam. We saw with Mike Zimmer at the NFL level. It's I am going to jam the ball, jam the ball, jam the ball, jam the ball, jam the ball. Yep. I don't care. And I'm just going to keep doing it. I know my defense is going to stop you. And then when you get a dagger late, all of a sudden you got Fromm, who's been sitting back there doing nothing with his arm for 3.5 quarters, that has to go lead his team down the field. I think Mullen is creative enough offensively to continue to protect Trask. This offense looks 10 times better than what it ever did with Felipe Franks at the helm.
It's not saying much.
I know, but the creativity of Mullen. Now, if he could just stop trying to run options with Trask, that'd be great. If you want to try and run the football, how about you put in your, number 1 scrambling quarterback from 2 classes ago in at QB and let him do his thing or whatever he was, athlete quarterback. That's my 2 cents on the whole deal. I'm excited to watch the game because these two teams genuinely hate each other, and usually one team does something super rowdy and in your face to the other team, which always gets the juices flowing.
Exactly. Remember when Georgia danced on the field?
Yeah, after they scored the first touchdown.
It was awesome.
Yeah, Rick's just over there smiling. Mm-hmm. That's college football. Speaking of, 2 talking notes. 1, NCAA approving that they can basically
get paid from their
compensated for their likeness, which means EA Sports Stint Game could be coming back into my life, and my wife will hate me. So that'll be exciting. But then number 2, as we kind of phase into the NFL, Jared, so you can get your picks on here. Now, we're not going to go through every single game because, as mentioned, it is Halloween, and we have plans for Halloween. So we're going to go get to those. 1, before we get into your picks, have you seen the Bucks GM burner account, Jameis 1 of 1? Have you seen any of this on social media? Okay. So for those of you listening right now, here I got to do my Inception thing again. I dive more into it tomorrow. Anywho, this has been a huge, in the NFL podcast, been a huge thing. Essentially, this burner account has been tweeting everybody, has a book talking about how Jameis Winston's a Hall of Famer, and the media has skewed us into believing that he's bad. Not the stats.
Has anyone looked at his stat line?
It's the media, and the guy Jameis 1 of 1 doesn't do in-person interviews. He only does phone calls. Takes a 5-hour break during the Bucks games, which is the equivalent of Tiger Tracker not tweeting while Tiger's playing golf. And then somebody tried to log into his account so they would go through the recovery process. And the last 2 digits of the burner account, the Jameis 1 of 1, and the Bucks GM are the exact same numbers. So the investigative journalism has been phenomenal on this.
Yeah, geez, these guys are really taking it deep here.
Because if it is truly his burner account, it's unbelievable that this.
Why do people have burner accounts? Like, if you're gonna have a burner account and you're a GM, have somebody else do it.
Yeah.
Like, use your head. If you're an athlete and you're gonna have if you're a KD, get one of your boys to do it. Be like, hey man, guess what? You're setting up this burner account and you're gonna tweet what I tell you.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're off the payroll. Oh, okay. Like, what the hell? This is not that hard. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so I got my NFL picks. This is
you hit 'em
plug.
quick.
This is a plug your nose Saturday, boys and girls. I actually have a Thursday game. Cardinals plus 10.5. The Wonkavator, and they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing. Jaguars plus 1.5 in London. Send it. Upways and sideways and frontways and backways. Money line. Love them in teasers. Plus the points. Whatever. Take it. Winner. Panthers. Bears. You want to talk about plug your nose? The Chicago Bears in the NFL, it's very simple. When you throw up a little bit in your mouth at the thought of betting on a team, you should bet them. Because this is a game that the Bears will probably win outright when nobody expects them to. Steelers. Lions. You can probably hear my son in his dentist outfit. Chargers.
I don't know. He looks a lot like Uncle Micah in his scrubs.
That's true. Chargers. Ravens. Ravens plus 3. I mean, the amount of public money on the Patriots on Sunday night is going to be biblical.
Yeah.
A wave.
End of times proportions.
Yeah. 3-point. I mean, unbelievable. Cards. So here's when I'm doing my Inception. This will not air, so never mind. I'll have to post it on the Twitter. The Arizona Cardinals plus 10.5 Thursday night. It's tonight. This won't go out till tomorrow. Actually, we could put it out now for drive time.
I'll probably release it.
Ooh, that's what you should do.
Since we're doing it this early.
Yeah, Cardinals, cash it, send it. And that's all I got. I got quite a card. I really like Jags, Steelers, and Lions in teasers because those are all at or around 1 or 2, and you can get through the key numbers of 3 and 7 by using the teasers. That's all I had.
Plug your nose, dude.
Pick your nose, plug your nose.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
I'm out here grinding. I'm a gold digger for Halloween, if you're catching my drift.
Hey.
So that's going to do it, though, for this week's edition of Pigskin Junkies. I'm Michael Larson. That's Big Brother Jared Larson. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy your college football. Enjoy your NFL. And once again, enjoy your Halloween. Boo.
Point break.